people can't get worse when something is free? You're about to realize they absolutely can. I used to believe that offering something for free brought out the best in people: gratitude, kindness, basic human decency. Turns out, it often does the exact opposite. The moment you remove a price, something strange happens. Expectations grow. Entitlement appears. And suddenly, you're not giving, you're apparently failing someone. I listed a perfectly working office chair online for free because I was upgrading my setup. A guy messaged me within minutes. "Does it recline fully?" he asked. I said, "Not fully, just standard tilt." He replied, "That's disappointing." Then paused. "Can you modify it before I pick it up?" I thought he was joking. He wasn't. He sent diagrams. Actual diagrams. "I need it to recline at least 160 degrees, he wrote, like this was a negotiation. I told him I wasn't a furniture engineer. He sighed in text form. Then why list it? That question stayed with me. Why list a free chair if it doesn't meet his custom ergonomic fantasy? When I said someone else would take it as is, he replied, "Enjoy giving away mediocrity." That's when I noticed the pattern for the first time. It's not about the item. It's about control. When something is free, people don't value it less, they try to reshape it into exactly what they want. And when you don't comply, you're not neutral. You're suddenly the problem. The villain. The obstacle between them and their imagined perfect version of reality. I offered to help a coworker move a few boxes across town. Just a friendly favor. When I arrived, she pointed at the apartment. "Everything needs to go," she said. I laughed. She didn't. "Wait, all of it?" I asked. She nodded. "Yeah, movers are expensive." I stood there, holding a single box, realizing I had accidentally signed up for a full relocation operation. After 2 hours, sweating and carrying furniture down 3 flights of stairs, I checked my phone. "I need to leave soon," I said. She looked confused. "But we're not done." I explained I had plans. She crossed her arms. "So you're just going to abandon me halfway?" That word, abandon, hit differently. Like I owed her completion, not help. Like leaving was betrayal. When I finally left, she didn't say thank you. She just said, "Next time, maybe be clearer about your availability." Next time. As if there would be one. Driving home, I realized something uncomfortable. Helping someone doesn't always make you helpful. Sometimes it just makes you available. And once you're available, people start expanding the definition of what you owe them. There's a subtle shift that happens. A favor becomes a responsibility. A responsibility becomes an expectation. An expectation, when unmet, turns into resentment. The wild part? It all started with something voluntary. Something kind. But kindness, in the wrong context, doesn't get recognized as generosity. It gets interpreted as capacity. And capacity, to some people, means unlimited supply. I gave away an old mirror online. Nothing special, just a large standing mirror. A woman came to pick it up and spent an unusually long time staring into it. Not checking angles, just staring. I joked, "Looks good." She didn't smile. "It feels different," she said. I laughed it off. She didn't. "Mirrors remember things," she added quietly. I helped her carry it to her car. Before closing the trunk, she asked, "Did anything strange happen while you had it?" I paused. "No." She nodded slowly, like she didn't believe me. Then she said, "If it shows something, don't ignore it." I stood there, holding the empty space where the mirror used to be, suddenly unsure why I felt relieved it was gone. That one stayed with me longer than it should have. Not because I believed her, but because of how serious she was. That's another layer of this whole thing. Free doesn't just attract entitlement. It attracts intensity. People project meaning, expectations, even fears onto things that cost nothing. And somehow, you become part of that projection whether you want to or not. I offered free coffee samples outside a small event I was helping organize. Just tiny cups. A man took one, sipped it, and nodded thoughtfully. "Not bad," he said. Then he looked at me and asked, "Do you have oat milk?" I explained these were pre-made samples. He frowned. "So no customization?" I smiled. "It's free coffee." He didn't smile back. He placed the empty cup down like he was evaluating a restaurant. "I don't usually drink dairy," he said. "You should really consider that." I nodded politely. Then he added, "Also, the temperature is slightly off." Slightly off. For something that cost him nothing. As he walked away, he turned back and said, "You're missing an opportunity here." I almost thanked him. That's the illusion. People think they're helping you improve, even when you never asked for feedback. Free becomes an invitation, not just to take, but to critique. To reshape. To demand better. And the strangest part? The more you give, the more they expect. At this point, I thought I understood the pattern. I really did. Then the next situation happened, and everything escalated. I left a box of free books outside my building with a sign that said, "Take what you like." A man stopped, flipped through one, then looked up at me through the window. He knocked on my door 5 minutes later. "Do you have anything newer?" he asked. I blinked. "They're free books." He nodded. "Yeah, but these feel outdated." I told him that was the whole point, getting rid of things I didn't need. He stepped inside without asking and scanned my shelves. "You definitely have better ones," he said. That's when it shifted. This wasn't about taking what was offered. It was about upgrading the offer itself. "Can I just pick directly from here?" he asked, already reaching. I stepped in front of the shelf. "No, that's not part of it." He looked genuinely confused. "But you're giving them away anyway." That sentence landed harder than it should have. Anyway. Like everything I owned was already in the process of becoming his. When I said no again, he shook his head. Strange way to do something nice. That's another pattern. People don't just accept what's free, they reinterpret the rules. They rewrite the boundaries in real time. And when you push back, it feels, to them, like you're the one breaking the social contract. Not them. You. Because in their mind, once you've opened the door, everything behind it becomes negotiable. I offered a free couch online. A man came to pick it up late at night. Too late. Around midnight. "Traffic," he said. He walked in, didn't look at the couch immediately. Instead, he looked around my apartment slowly. "Nice place," he said. Not in a compliment way. In a measuring way. Like he was mapping it. We carried the couch halfway to the door when he stopped. "Actually," he said, "this won't fit in my car." I froze. "So?" He shrugged. "I'll come back tomorrow." I told him that wasn't how this worked. He looked at me for a second too long. Then smiled slightly. "You don't seem very flexible for someone giving things away." When I insisted he take it now or leave it, he sighed and put his hands in his pockets. "Fine," he said. Then, casually, "Do you live here alone?" That question cut through everything. Not aggressive. Not loud. Just placed. I didn't answer. I just opened the door wider and said, "You should go." He did. But slowly. That was the moment it stopped being funny. There's a line where entitlement crosses into something else, control, maybe even subtle intimidation. And it doesn't always come with raised voices. Sometimes it's quiet. Casual. Almost polite. Which somehow makes it worse. Because now you're not just dealing with unreasonable expectations. You're dealing with something unpredictable. I offered free language tutoring to help people practice conversational English. One guy showed up with a notebook full of questions. Not normal questions. Legal phrases. Contracts. Terminology. I need to prepare for a negotiation, he said. I explained this was casual practice. He nodded. Yes, but we can simulate a courtroom, right? I thought he was exaggerating. He wasn't. He assigned me a role. You're the opposing counsel, he said. Then he started speaking rapidly, expecting me to respond in structured legal arguments. I tried to steer it back. Maybe we just talk normally. He frowned. That's not efficient. Efficient. For something free. After 30 minutes, he said, we're not progressing fast enough. At the end, he closed his notebook and said, I think I'll need a refund. I stared at him. This is free. He nodded. Exactly. I invested my time. That logic stayed with me longer than it should have. Because in his mind, this was a transaction. And somehow, I still owed him something. At this point, I genuinely thought I had seen every possible version of this behavior. I hadn't. Because the deeper you go, the less it's about things. It becomes about expectations that don't match reality at all. And when those expectations break, people don't adjust. They escalate. And the next situation proved that escalation doesn't always stay verbal. I gave away a free bicycle that just needed air in the tires. A teenager came to pick it up with his older brother. They checked it quickly. It's fine, I said. The older one nodded. Then asked, you got a pump? I said yes, but I wasn't including it. He looked at me like I had just broken a rule. It's useless without air, he said. I explained that pumps aren't expensive. He stepped closer. So you're giving something incomplete. The tone changed. Not loud. Just sharper. The younger brother stayed quiet, watching. I handed him the bike anyway. It works. That's the deal. The older one didn't move. Just stood there, thinking. Then he said, people like you always do this. Half help. I didn't respond. After a few seconds, he grabbed the bike and walked away. But not before adding, don't act generous if you're not willing to finish the job. That sentence stayed with me. Because it reframed everything. In his mind, I wasn't helping. I was failing. And that's when it fully clicked. For some people, free doesn't mean gift. It means opportunity. Opportunity to demand more. To test limits. To see how far they can push before you stop. And if you don't stop early enough, they keep going. And the last story? That one didn't just cross the line. It erased it completely. I put a sign outside my house offering free lemons from a tree in my yard. A woman stopped, filled an entire bag, then looked up at my window and waved me outside. These are a bit sour, she said. I blinked. They're lemons. She nodded. Yes, but do you have sweeter ones? I thought she was joking. She wasn't. Maybe from a different part of the tree, she suggested, like I had multiple flavor zones. I told her that's not how lemons work. She sighed. You should really label them then. Label them. I stood there, trying to process how something growing naturally now required customer guidance. As she left, she added, people don't like surprises. That's the strange evolution of expectation. Even randomness becomes something people think should be curated. Controlled. Explained. Free stops being raw, it has to feel intentional. Designed. Optimized for them. And if it's not just disappointing. It's somehow your fault for not anticipating what they would prefer in a situation that cost them nothing. I offered to babysit a friend's kid for free one evening so she could go out. Simple. Low stakes. When she arrived, she handed me a printed schedule. Hour by hour. Meals, activities, screen time rules. I skimmed it. This is detailed, I said. She smiled. Consistency is important. Then she added, also, no improvisation. No improvisation. I repeated. She nodded. He thrives on structure. I agreed, even though something felt off. 2 hours in, the kid asked if we could play a game that wasn't on the schedule. I hesitated. Then said yes. When she came back, the first thing she asked wasn't how things went. It was, did you follow everything exactly? I mentioned the game. She froze. That wasn't approved. Approved. For a free favor. It was just a game, I said. She shook her head slightly. You disrupted the system. The system. I apologized, even though I didn't fully understand what I had broken. As she left, she said, next time, stick to the framework. There wasn't a next time. That's when I realized some people don't want help. They want compliance. They want someone to step into their world and operate exactly the way they would, without deviation. And if you don't, even slightly, the help doesn't count. It's invalid. Because in their mind, the value isn't in what you did, it's in how closely you followed their script. I gave away an old desk lamp online. A quiet man came to pick it up. He barely spoke. Just nodded, paid attention to details that didn't seem important. Does it flicker? He asked. I said no. He looked almost disappointed. Sometimes flickering reveals things, he said. I laughed lightly. He didn't react. As he unplugged it, he paused. You ever notice how light changes a room's memory? He asked. I didn't answer. I just wanted the interaction to end. Before leaving, he turned back and said, if it starts flickering, don't replace the bulb too quickly. Then he left. I stood there, staring at the empty desk longer than necessary. This last one. I still don't have a clear explanation for. Because at some point, these interactions stop being about entitlement or expectation. They become something harder to categorize. Something that doesn't fit neatly into people being unreasonable. And the final situation? That one didn't just challenge my patience. It completely changed how I see the idea of giving anything away. I offered a free spare key cutting service to neighbors, just trying to be helpful. One man came by, handed me his key, and watched silently as I made the copy. When I gave it back, he didn't leave. Make another one, he said. I asked why. He smiled slightly. In case I lose the first one. I told him one copy was enough. He didn't argue. He just stood there, still watching. You have the machine, he said quietly. That sentence didn't sound like a request. It sounded like pressure. I handed him the single copy and stepped back. That's all I'm doing, I said. He looked at the door behind me, then back at me. You trust people too much, he said. Then he left. Just like that. No escalation. No argument. But something about the way he said it didn't feel like advice. It felt like a statement. Like he had already decided something about me. About my space. I locked the door immediately after, even though nothing had technically happened. And that's the part no one talks about. Giving things away doesn't just expose other people, it exposes you. Your boundaries. Your assumptions. Your sense of control. Because once you open that door, even a little, you're not just offering an object. You're offering access. And not everyone sees the difference between what's given and what's available. I still give things away sometimes. Just less often. And differently. Because now I understand something I didn't before. Free doesn't remove value, it distorts it. It shifts the balance in ways you don't expect. And once you see how far some people are willing to push that shift, you stop wondering if it's worth it. You start wondering where the line actually is.